welcome back to WWDBTV and this show, Backward Glances. I think we're going to call it Backward Glances. And what we're going to be doing is talking about the history, culture, and entertainment in fabulous Las Vegas. And today my guest is the beautiful Stacey Law Blind. And look at how gorgeous she is.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, this is fantastic. Stacey, you and I have known each other for quite a while. We met through our mutual friend, another former showgirl by the name of Susan Nesbitt Blanco.
Yes.
And you guys, when I was writing my book, The Showgirls of Las Vegas, the two of you were so generous with your time and your stories. And I just, first of all, because I've known you for a while, I know that's your character, your generosity and whatnot. And when I would do book signings, both you and Susan would come in full showgirl regalia, and the audience ate it up. And so I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we are going to really talk about the work that you're doing today, these days, and this experience that you provided with me yesterday.
Right.
But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about your life as a showgirl.
Okay.
Because you consider yourself still a showgirl, don't you?
I consider myself semi-retired.
Okay.
And I don't think, I mean, once a showgirl, always a showgirl. So with that in mind, it never really truly leaves us.
Of course
Even if we go into another lane or another profession, you're always a showgirl. So I like to stay in the game as I do other things.
Okay.
And I always will find a way to keep myself involved.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit before we get into that life. Let's talk a little bit about your early life. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, Northern California.
Okay, and when did you make your way to Las Vegas and why?
I made it to Las Vegas at the age of 17. I was supposed to go to Stanford because studying law was going to be my end game. My father had a construction company and he thought that it would be best if I became a business lawyer. So with that in mind, I'm sitting around doing little shows here and there with my dance teachers in Northern California. And they had made contact with a producer here in Vegas. The job became available and then I got the phone call.
Okay, so you were a dancer in your growing up years. What kind of dance?
Everything. Ballet, jazz, tap. I was addicted. So anything that I could do to open the genres of different styles of dance, I would take class.
So Dad had an idea of what your future would be like, but did you have aspirations to become a performer in any way?
Always.
Yes.
And I had done performances up until that point. And my teacher, one of them, Tommy Harwood, was the Jackie Gleason June Taylor dancer. And she was a huge influence on me. She would see me perform and she'd say, you know, you could do this professionally if you wanted to. Okay.
All right. So how did you hear about a show in Las Vegas?
They called me.
Who's they?
The producer in Vegas. And they were at the Landmark Hotel.
Okay.
The Best of Burlesque was Dave Hansen Productions. And it was about midnight. And my father answered the phone, back with no cell phones, right? And he woke me up and I spoke to him and he said, you know, I have an audition. I need you here tomorrow by noon. Can you get on a plane? Can you be here? And I said, yes. Hung up the phone, looked at my dad and said, you know, will you support me in this? And he said, sure, no problem. And I'm sure he thought that I wasn't going to get it.
Right.
So I went to my room and I started to pack. And I packed everything important to me because in my mind, I'm not coming back. I get on the airplane. We had to go to San Jose instead of Oakland or San Francisco. There were no flights in the morning. Get on the plane, took a cab for the first time ever from the airport to the Landmark. Had about a half hour to get into my tights on the stage, and an hour after that, got the job.
Wow. How old were you?
17.
17 years old. Were you nervous? Did you have confidence?
I was nervous because the environment was so new and it was so important. But I was confident in my ability to dance. I just wasn't sure about all of the loose ends. I wasn't sure about my looks. And I was always so tall that they never knew what to do with me in Northern California.
How tall are you?
I'm now 5'10".
Okay.
But I actually grew later on. So when I got to Vegas, I was about 5'8" and a half, 5'9". And that, I realized the minute I got here, was to my benefit.
Okay.
So I took a lead spot, not because I was better than the other girls, but because of how I looked and my height.
What was that audition experience like for you?
It was so scary. So scary, but I gave it everything I had. I actually kind of overdanced it because I just had so much energy to give. And they appreciated that. And then when I did get the job, that was one of the things they did, is tone me down a little bit and stand up straight, because I was used to dancing like really low to the ground.
Okay.
To hide how tall I was. And here they wanted me tall. So one rehearsal, she actually grabbed my hands and she pulled them behind my back, and I danced the whole time with my hands behind my back. And slowly but surely, I was proud of my height.
And what year was this? Did you well,
1979.
1979. Tell us about some of the shows that you performed in.
I started with the Best of Burlesque at the Landmark. Then from there, I was my first audition experience, like in a cattle call. I went to the Dunes and had got hired there, but I never actually got into the show there because they switched me over to the marina, and I did a show called Bear Touch of Vegas. And the girls were very tall, very European looking, and it was more of a dancing show, and you had to cut your hair. And it was the first topless show too. So that was a big change and a big experience for me. And I wasn't sure, if I was going to be comfortable with that or not. But I did, after discussing it with my father. And he gave me 2 thumbs up, and he said, if you're an entertainer, you're an entertainer. And he said, if you want to, go for it, I support you.
Okay.
So they chopped all my hair off. And from my entire career, I had hair about an inch off my head. And that was my look.
All right, some of the other shows that you were in.
After that, I actually went and sang with a show band called Shantae. Now, this is the beginning of bands where now they had dancers, so I learned how to background sing, and I played the cowbell and the tambourine. And I went on tour, and we did like the whole U.S., and then we also performed at the Landmark.
Okay.
Did that for about a year, and then after that, I needed a break. I'd already been doing it for 5 years, and I thought, it's time for me to figure out what I want to do next. So I took a break. I got married. I went back to school, and I got my degree from the Berkeley version of the National Holistic Institute.
Oh.
So I have a degree as a holistic practitioner.
No wonder you look so amazing, because you know how to take care of yourself.
I try in the whole fitness industry. I've been in the fitness industry as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other shows that you can mention? Did you work with Susan in some of her shows?
I did. So I came out of retirement after getting my education and having my son. I came back to Reno. I went back into it in Reno, and I worked in Heavenly Bodies with Miller Reach Productions. From there, I traveled to Guam, and Jerry Jackson, who is the choreographer for the Folly show here, had a show called American Glitz, and that was what an experience to live in the South Pacific for an entire year.
Oh, wow.
So I enjoyed that, and my son he wasn't in school yet, so he was getting ready to turn 5. My contract finished, so then we came back to the States, and I opened up a show at Tahoe Biltmore called Breathless with Miller Reach Productions. Then he was getting ready to go to kindergarten, so now I had to settle in, and I had to have, a schedule, and I couldn't be bouncing around. So came to Vegas to visit. I went backstage at the Stardust and to see some friends, and I ran into Terry Laverne, who was the company manager there, and he said, would you be interested in coming and doing the show? And I did an audition. He just said, I've seen you, I know your work, and I said, perfect, absolutely. And 2 weeks later, moved to Vegas, started in the show about a month later, and that is where I met what I call my final show family.
Okay.
And I'm still so attached to all of them, and that is where Susan Blanco and I became besties.
Was it difficult for you to get back into the swing of it, or did you stay in shape? I'm sure you did.
I stayed in shape because now I'm a holistic health practitioner, I'm a personal trainer, I teach group fitness classes, and so that kept me in the game, kept me strong.
Was it different between when you stopped for a while and then 5 years later? Was the culture different at all being a showgirl?
Not a lot.
Okay.
I was actually in it when I watched it change.
Okay.
Yeah, the big business had kind of kicked in, but I didn't think it affected the shows quite yet. But as I went from Reno to Guam, up to Tahoe, then down to Vegas, in that amount of
Okay.
time, you could see the shift.
Okay. So let's talk about what we did yesterday.
Yes.
So I am 5'3". I wouldn't be a showgirl, would I?
You would be a pony.
A pony. What is a pony?
They're the smaller girls.
Okay. So I came to your I'll call it a studio, but
Right.
you have a little studio in the historic Nevada room.
Right, the
And
Nevada room.
So I walked in, my hair was all disheveled because we had really high winds yesterday. I had no makeup on whatsoever, and I came to be a part of what you call, what you have going for you. It's called the Showgirl Boot Camp. Tell me a little bit about the Showgirl Boot Camp. What is it?
Well, it is an experience, a Las Vegas experience, and it's one of its kind. And it basically takes an average person, puts them backstage in an environment that we would walk into every evening, transforms you through makeup, theater makeup, into a showgirl from here to here. Then we set you in a chair, we pull your hair back, we put the headpiece on you and the feathers, and then we'll take another picture. We take
Okay.
pictures. And then I will teach you showgirl posturing, and that is how to stand, how to walk, how to
Okay.
use your arms, how to understand the gracefulness and the flowiness of it. And the great thing is that everybody, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your age, can do this.
Okay.
And we've done it, we've proved it.
Well, from what I understand, though, it didn't start out with giving the average person
Right.
the experience. How did Showgirl Boot Camp get started?
So the co-founder is Miss Dinget and
Okay.
myself, and we created this together, and it's been a work of love. So it started off as, I told her we should just, I'm teaching fitness, I'm doing boot camp classes. I said, we need to do a showgirl boot camp and get all of these dancers back in shape, because she at the time was producing a show called Showgirl Follies. And it was a life in feathers and rhinestones. And so it was all of the girls who had danced previously on the strip that still wanted to perform or needed closure or whatever. I never got to have my final night on stage because my feet were broken.
Okay.
And I literally had to go from the stage to the surgeon's table within days. So I never got that final show. So I thought this would be it, just one show, take that final bow and have some closure. Well, it ended up turning into this amazing, we got to do another one. It's sold out. We got to do another one. It's sold out. So we needed more dancers.
Well, from what I understand, that showgirls kind of age out at a certain time, and that might be a disappointment for some that still have a lot to give,
Right.
that still want to perform, and so this was an opportunity for them to do that.
Right.
But
So
they
on
probably-
a Sunday afternoon, we were going to resurrect them
Okay,
and get
yeah.
them in shape and inspire them to possibly get back in shape.
And it sold out, and they loved it.
Well, the show sold out, yes, but we actually started to gather all these beautiful women,
Okay.
and they came to take class now.
Oh,
so we
that's
would do
great.
across the floor and all the things that we used to do when we were younger, but more at a speed that we could handle, And
Then how did it evolve to become average people like
yes,
me?
right?
Who
So it evolved because I had a large clientele of regular women that were in my massage clientele and personal training, and they said, we want to do that. I want to put that headpiece on. Could you bring it over here? And so they were watching us, and because they were watching us, their faces would be right on the window, and I
Okay.
said to them, okay, I'm going to do that. So I did a little workshop with them, and it was just so amazing to watch them come alive. And we did a whole day, and we did a little burlesque, we did a little warm-up, so it was more of a fitness class. And from there, it just evolved because they wanted to do it again and again.
Well, and I'm going to share that when I was writing my book, and one of my daughters said, "Mom, do you want to be a showgirl?" And I was like, "I'm too short to be a showgirl." But I have to say that yesterday when I walked in, we were there for about 2.5 hours, and you gave me the most personal attention. I had the full makeup. I've I've never in my life worn false eyelashes. That was an experience. I had beautiful lipstick on, and then we had glitter, and we even had champagne with glitter in it.
Yes, yes.
And I just felt like I was being transformed. Not only was it because of your care and your encouragement, but then when I saw myself the before and after, and I will share that. It was different. One of my other friends said, "You look just like a doll," and I looked beautiful.
You looked beautiful.
What was interesting was putting on the headdress, because I have heard that they are so heavy, and so when you put the headdress on me, first of all, my ears were muffled, and it was hard to hear. So I don't know how you did that. And then when you put the feather piece on, you had to adjust it a lot because of my head, but I couldn't move in certain things. I wanted to look down, and I couldn't look down.
Right.
And I don't know, it was just, what a wonderful experience. Tell us some of the stories of some of the other people that have had that same experience, that transformation. Because you did say some of them come in, like me, a little nervous.
So I think that the funnest stories that we have is what happens so often is you'll have a group of women, and they have to all agree that this is what they want to do. And that's hard to do. I mean, even 4 or 5 women all together, to get them to agree about what they want for lunch, forget about it, right? So you always will have 1 or 2 that are a little bit hesitant. They'll come in, they'll sit down, and they'll maybe do this. Then they start to get in the groove. And we notice that about them, and we maybe give them a little bit more attention in the beginning.
Or maybe a little more champagne.
Or more champagne. And, all of that is fair game, right? So all of a sudden they see the transformation happen, and then their whole attitude starts to change, and now they're interested in what we're doing. Oh, I want to get in the chair. Can you help me with this? So they start to come alive, and at the end of the day, they're the ones that make the biggest transformation, because it comes from the inside out. So they're now in full makeup, full showgirl costume, and they're learning how to walk, and it is an experience that not only did they not think they were going to have, because they weren't sure if they wanted to do it, but now it's awakened this other piece of them that they didn't even know existed.
Well, and you shared, you talked about my bone structure and my face, and you actually tailored the makeup for the way that my face is, and you gave that kind of personal attention to them. And so, yes, when somebody does that for you, you do start to feel worthwhile.
And there is a little showgirl in every woman.
I think so too.
There really is. I mean, every woman has or every person has these beautiful qualities about their face, and it's about smoke and mirrors and pulling out all the beautiful things about what you want it to look like. And so we have the skill and we have the know-how to do that.
How did you learn how to do makeup?
So I always loved it. So I just spent a lot of time doing it. I would constantly be working with my makeup in between shows. Then we'd have makeup artists come in, and I'd pay attention to what they were doing. I had an opportunity to work for a makeup company for a short period of time, and realized that it was just something that I was drawn to.
Okay. And you did tell me that you were assigned to do makeup on new people or for some of the other showgirls.
Right. Yeah. And I learned a lot of the techniques that I in the beginning knew from the girls. Like the very first show that I did, I learned a little bit from them. But Bare Touch of Vegas, I learned a lot from those ladies. They were amazing, and they taught me a lot. So we would exchange ideas. And then I became the older dancer, and now I'm the one that's now sharing all the information. And I'm very happy to do that. And understanding that every face is different, you can't do the makeup the same.
So what is it like behind the scenes, before you go on stage? What's the camaraderie like? Do you do your own makeup? Everybody does their own makeup, and
everybody.
Talk a little bit about that.
When you go backstage, you get into some warm-ups, and in the last show, every show is a little different. But at the Stardust, we had a mandatory 30-minute warm-up, and you could do a ballet bar warm-up every other day was offered, and then I actually did like a fitness kind of a strength training type thing to prepare their bodies on the opposite days, and I was the teacher for that. after that 30-minute warm-up, we go up to our dressing table, and you have a half hour to put your makeup on. And
Okay.
everybody pretty much, you know, you something you need to know.
Now, wait a minute. It took you a lot longer than a half an hour to put my makeup on. How did you guys do it in a half an hour?
Well, you know, you know what your face,
Okay.
and so, I mean, there's no experimenting left. You already know.
Right.
Everything is sitting right there. You know the colors you're going to work with. So
What kind of banter was taking place back there? Did you guys
we tell everything.
really?
The stories, and just, I mean, how was your day today?
Okay.
Well, every single day I got to share my day with everyone.
Okay.
And, you know, you just tell them everything. They know all the nooks and crannies. They know everything about you, because it's a sisterhood.
Right.
And you're in a group of women who adore you and love you. And I don't know, maybe when you're sitting there in just a G-string, you tend to tell the truth more. I don't know. You know, you're very close. It's a very close-knit group.
Yeah, and yesterday actually you got me to walk down, and I was so nervous about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
When I did the strut, I was a little nervous about it, and then you said, stop thinking about it, and it just came naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody's a little different. So with you, Lisa, it was you kind of have this organic level in your body. Like, I only had to tell you some things one time, and you were right there. So for you probably did miss your calling because it came so easy to you. Just think if you had like
You know why,
more
Stacey?
time.
No, it was because you made it so much fun, and I felt so at home. So, I mean, that really had a lot. I've never
Right.
even done a photo shoot before, and I was doing all these poses yesterday.
Yeah. And where did it come from?
I have
Out of
no
nowhere,
idea.
right?
I know.
It's in there.
At this age. I understand that you did some of this boot camp, not just in Las Vegas. Where else have you done it?
We actually started off, I was in Ohio for 2 years.
Okay.
My husband made me a deal. He said, if you leave Vegas and go to Ohio, I'll have you back in 2 years. And he stuck to his word. But while I was in Ohio is when Mr. Gett and I actually developed the Showgirl Boot Camp. I was able to do some lectures in Cleveland, and realized that these women were really, really interested in the history of a showgirl and what it was all about. I also, unfortunately, understood that they did not know what a real showgirl was. And
There
that
is a misconception, isn't
They asked
there?
me, well, did you perform on Fremont Street? And, you know, back in the day, you didn't, that wasn't a good thing, not a good thing. So I had to start educating.
What do they mean by perform on Fremont Street?
Like there's the girls in the costumes that are walking around taking pictures that are not showgirls.
Okay.
I thought we should all start something, you know how they have Elvis impersonators, which is wonderful, but they should let them know that they're showgirl impersonators, that they're not true showgirls,
Right.
because there's such a blurred line with all of that. I mean, my feet are reconstructed from so much training and being in heels and in point shoes. You know, the discs are gone in my back. So we are athletes, and our bodies have paid the price. And so we're not just putting on a costume and parading around.
Okay.
We're dancers, we're athletes. And so it's like a badge of honor, all of those things. And so I think that we need to hold the true showgirl to a higher level.
Exactly. And so you were able to educate these people. It's like the old saying that you live in Las Vegas, there's a place to live in Las Vegas. I
Right,
remember
right.
that when I first moved here. You know, they thought everybody lived in the casinos or something.
Right.
All right. So
we started in Ohio,
Okay.
so Springboro, Ohio, which is a little bedroom community.
and you actually did the boot camp there? And
We did.
Oh, my.
And it was fabulous, and they were wonderful. And if you look on our website, they were our first. So we hold them very near and dear to us. And all the Ohio girls, if you see this, I told you I would make you a star somehow. But they're on the website, and you can see I had older ladies, I had younger ladies, I had mother and daughters, and like I said, there's nobody that can't do this.
Bonding experience for them. I was by myself, and I would like to have had, you know, a girlfriend or two. We would have giggled. I was giggling already, but it would have been fun. But bachelorette parties and things like that, you do those kind of things.
We do birthday parties,
Okay.
bachelorette parties. We'll
What an
do.
experience.
We've done 4 generations of women. and I've got beautiful pictures. I mean, this bone structure's the same, the DNA's right there, and they all, you can barely tell the difference between the grandmother that's 85 and
wow.
the young daughter or great granddaughter that's, 13, 14 years old.
And you said that you recently did one with Senior Nevada.
We just did the Miss Senior Nevada pageant.
Okay.
And, there was beautiful lady. She was 95.
No way.
And she was in a walker. And we actually, Amy, who you met yesterday, was so creative because that was her section. We had a lot to do, so we were in separate rooms. Put her in the middle of this room with the walker, and she walked out and then posed, and all of the other ladies would perform and walk around her. I mean, it doesn't matter what you might be working with. We find a way to make it happen and elevate everybody to function at their highest level.
Unbelievable. So where do you see Showgirl Boot Camp going from here?
Well, it's a work in progress in the sense that we have not quite yet found our home of where we're going to stay. We've bounced around. We've been at Planet Hollywood. We've been in wedding venues. During COVID, we had to have a large space so we could social distance. And now we're at the Nevada Room, which is a beautiful cabaret room, and we feel very at home there. But what we need is a spot where we can lay things out and that it's already set up, that the feathers, right now I have to bring the feathers to and from. They have to be in a climate controlled environment. So, it's a lot of time pushing them back and forth. So we're looking for a place that we can work with that would be our home.
So where did the costumes come from?
The costumes are brand new.
Okay.
We started off with the old ones, but they're so big and heavy that it took away some of the joy because, someone who's just getting started, you don't want to put a 20-pound headpiece on and then have it not fit right. So Miss Dinguette is an amazing artist, designer, all of that. She actually designed these headpieces and sewed them with her little fingers to the bone, one rhinestone, one stitch at a time. And they're beautiful.
Can you tell us a little bit about Miss Dinguette?
Yeah, so she is my business partner in Showgirl Boot Camp. She's busy, so you don't see her very often with her other shows that she does. But she is an amazing, world-renowned choreographer, producer.
Was she a showgirl as well?
She was for a short amount of time, but she elevated into the choreography and staging and things like that pretty fast. She started later in life, so she was more mature and she kind of knew what she wanted. So yeah, she went real fast.
Is she still doing the Showgirl Follies?
She is not at this time.
Okay, but that was fun. I've gone to a few of them.
We did
they
it
were
for
so
about
much fun.
5-6 years.
Oh, and I meant to put this up before we even started to talk about our Showgirl experience. Yes, because on the inside is my before and my after, but we'll put those up a little bit later. So yeah, well, I hope that you do find your permanent location, so you're not able to go into somebody's home and do this.
We've actually done that too.
Oh, really? Okay, so that is a possibility.
We can do from 1 to 10 people.
Okay.
And we can travel.
Okay.
And we do everything is personalized. Everything is designed to fit whatever need that group or those people have at that time.
Well, it was great, and I can't thank you enough. I felt like a star yesterday, and I went home, and my husband was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And then I had to take the makeup off.
Oh, well, you know what? Now you know how to do it,
Absolutely.
and you know where we are, and you're more
Exactly.
than welcome to come back with your crew, so we can do a whole extravaganza for you and your
Is there
girls.
anything else you'd like to share, a special person or anything about your life as a showgirl that you'd just like to end with?
Well, I actually am in this position a lot because my husband is extremely supportive of letting me have this hobby that has now turned into a business and time consuming. And I have 3 amazing kids that are in the business, and they're very supportive as well. So and Miss Dinguette, having her as a business partner, and all of our girl tribe, those are pieces of us that make us who we are, and that's why this has been able to continue. So if you're interested and you want to be a showgirl for a day, you can go to showgirlbootcamp.com.
Perfect, and we'll put that up on the screen as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
You're
Stacey, and
welcome.
thank you for yesterday. It was amazing. I was so glad to have you here.
So much fun.
All right, thank you.
The chance to be a showgirl for a day. So the Showgirl Boot Camp is reopening at the historic Commercial Center. They promise a uniquely Vegas experience, and first they teach women the cosmetic tricks of the trade, from false eyelashes and dramatic eye contouring to glittering lips. Well, then the group slides into arm feathers, rhinestones, and authentic Vegas headdresses. They're also taught how to look and carry themselves just like a real Vegas showgirl.